Right. So, dear students, we are starting with the refraction of light now. Again, this is very important chapter because you've got next two chapters which are based on this one. So the chapter we are doing now is refraction of light, and the next chapter after that is lens, refraction through a lens. So even to understand refraction through lens, you must be good at the refraction through plane surface. You might have done already some part of it in the 8th standard, like some basics and all, but we'll anyway start from everything. We'll do all from the scratch only. So see, first you'll have learnt about reflection earlier, right, in the lower standards. Now what do you mean by reflection? So reflection of light is when a ray of light strikes on a smooth polished surface, then it is called as what? Reflection. So this is called as your incident ray, this is your reflected ray, and out here there is a normal, and normal makes an angle of 90 degree with the surface. Also, if you remember, the angle of incidence was equal to the angle of reflection. So this is called as reflection, where the light ray bounces back into the same medium. It doesn't pass through that mirror. Now the phenomenon which we are doing now, it's called as refraction. Okay, so before we start refraction, there are a few other basic things that you need to know. So first thing we need to know that light, when it travels through different medium, it travels at different speed. So say for example, out here, now what do you mean by medium? So medium means the substance through which the light will pass, that is called as the medium. So the speed of light through air, okay, the speed of light through air is 3 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second, and it is considered to be the same in vacuum also. So actually the speed of light is not exactly 3 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second, but they have approximated it to 3 into 10 raised to 8. Second one is the speed of light in water. Since water is a more denser medium, light will travel what? Slower. So speed of light in water is 2.25 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second. And then the last one is the glass, is 2 into 10 raised to 8. You can see the speed is getting slower because the mediums are getting denser. Okay, one more medium is diamond. So diamond is even much denser or harder. So the speed of light in diamond is much lesser. It is 1.25 into 10 raised to 8. So you must have noticed by now that as the density of the medium is increasing, what happens to the speed of light? Speed of light is decreasing. Okay. Now there are two types of medium. I mean, we call this medium as, we call as denser medium and a rarer medium. So denser medium they are basically, it's a comparison. So for example, if I am comparing water and glass, when I'm comparing water and glass, then I'll say that glass is a denser medium, meaning what? Light will travel slower, and water is a rarer medium. Okay, so glass is, we call it glass as a optically denser. Now what do you mean by this word optically? Optically meaning it is not, we are not talking about the physical density. We consider this density on the basis of the speed of light in the medium. So if the light is traveling slower, then we say it is a denser material. And if the light is traveling relatively faster, then we say it's a rarer medium. Okay, so I hope it is clear what do you mean by denser and the rarer medium. So once again, these are what? All optical densities. Henceforth, we may not use the word optical density, but by default, we are always talking about what? Optical density only in those cases. Now, guys, next thing. Now, first, what is refraction? So, say we are having a ray of light which is going from a denser to rarer material. Okay. So, say here, this is the surface. Okay, that's a normal here. and there is a ray of light which is entering from here. So now when the light is entering from here, this is its actual path, how the light should have traveled. But while going from rarer to denser, what will you find? The ray of light will travel like this. It will go what? Away. So see, once again, this is called as what? Incident ray. This is called as what? Refracted ray. This is called as what? Angle of incidence, and this is called as what? Angle of refraction. So if you notice, first thing, that angle of incidence is less than angle of refraction, and the light ray is moving what? Away from the normal. What do you mean away from the normal? See, this is your normal here. So the light ray, this is your light ray originally. So instead of going towards the normal, how is it going? It's going away from the normal. That's what it means when we say away from the normal. Okay. So here the light ray was moving how? Away from the normal. Now, but what are the mediums? So this medium is, say what? Water. And this is what out here? Air. So when the ray of light is going from denser to rarer, then it will go how? Away from the normal. Now how to remember this? So you can remember that doctor ran away. Remember it this way. So D for doctor, R ran and away. So doctor ran away, meaning denser to rarer. How will the light ray go? Away from the normal. But remember one more very important thing, that every time whenever there is a refraction, there is also a partial reflection. So there is a very small amount of reflection, very small, maybe 2, 4, 5% usually. But there is always some amount of reflection which takes place. Like, when you look at your friends, look at their glasses, you can see their eyes. Why? Because of refraction. But you may see certain reflections in the eye, like you can see some lights or some other objects. That's because of reflection. Okay. Now they may also ask you to define refraction. So what do you mean by refraction? So the bending of light, when the light is traveling from one medium to another medium, is called as what? Refraction of light. Okay, the bending of light or the change in the path of the light when it passes from one transparent medium to another transparent medium is called as refraction of light. And this is called as a surface phenomenon. Okay, it is called as which phenomenon? Surface phenomenon. What do you mean by surface phenomenon? So you notice that this refraction is taking place only at the surface. You see, the bending took place only once at this surface. It did not happen again and again. So only at that one particular point it has changed its angle, and then it keeps traveling in a straight line. That's what it means. Okay, now case 2. Now the second case is RDT. Can you make out what RDT means? So say again out here we have a surface here, there is a normal here, and let's say the medium here is water, and now this is glass. So now it is going from what? From rarer to denser. So that's what RD, rarer to denser. Now how will the light ray go? So if this was the path of the incident ray, okay, and this is the dotted line, means what? This was the actual path how the incident ray should have gone. But what do you notice? When the light ray goes from water to glass, rarer to denser, it will bend towards the normal. Okay, how will it go? It will go towards the normal. So your ray will go like this. So now you look at these angles now that it forms. So first of all, what is this called as a incident ray? This is called as what? Refracted ray. This is called as what? Angle of incidence. And this is called as what? Angle of refraction. Okay, so this time first thing, if you notice, your angle of incidence is greater than angle of refraction. How is the light ray going? Towards the normal. It's going towards the normal. Again, obviously it's what? It's a surface phenomenon. So RDT, rarer to denser, it will go how? Towards the normal, remember. Okay. So here also there is going to be a partial reflection, but henceforth I will not be showing partial reflection in the diagrams, but remember it's by default in every diagram. Second thing, if you also see Now this angle which is formed over here, it is also called as deviation. It is also called as what? Delta or the deviation. What do you mean by deviation? How much is the change in the angle? So that angle is equal to I minus R. Same way there was a deviation here also, that will be what? R minus I. Okay, if you're wondering how, okay, look at this. Somebody who's confused why it's I minus R. See, if this angle is I out here, then this is a vertically opposite angle which will also be I. Correct? Now if you do I minus R, you will get the delta. Okay, so that's called as what? The deviation, not angle of deviation, but it's named as a deviation caused in the path of light. Okay, so these two are very, very important, DRA and RDT. You will need in throughout the chapter now, these two concepts. Okay, now next one, there is one case number 3. Okay, so instead of writing it as a case number 3, we will discuss them as rather as two conditions. Okay, these are the two conditions when the refraction does not take place. So I'll write down two condition when there is no refraction. When there is no refraction. Now, what are the conditions? So first condition number is that when your angle of incidence is 0 degree. What do you mean angle of incidence is 0 degree? That when the ray of light is falling normally on the surface. Okay. Now, out here, when the ray of light is falling normally on the surface, what is the angle of incidence? 0 degree. Now, why is your angle of incidence 0 degree here? Let's assume that this was your incident ray. Okay, let's assume this was your incident ray. Now, if this is your incident ray out here, okay, this is the angle of incidence here. Now, as you keep on moving this incident ray closer to it, what will happen to the angle of incidence? It will keep on decreasing. And eventually, when it will coincide with this normal here, what would be your angle of incidence? 0 degree. Understood, everyone? So, I'll repeat once again. See, this green ray which I have drawn, that is the angle of incidence. When you keep on moving it towards the normal, your angle of incidence keeps on decreasing. And when it will coincide with the normal, that time your angle of incidence will become what? 0 degree. Also, your angle of refraction at that point will also be what? 0 degree. Also, the deviation produced will also be what? 0 degree. Okay. Irrespective of the mediums which you are using here. So, it could be a medium 1 and medium 2. So, air to glass, glass to air, that does not matter. Okay. Now, so that's one thing, one of the condition. Now, second condition is when the light ray, okay guys, one more thing out here, there is going to be the change in speed out here, remember. So whenever it is passing from one medium to another medium, there is a change in speed. But since the light is falling normally, there is no refraction. But the change in speed is happening. I mean, the light is slowing down if it goes from rarer to denser, or it will speed up when it goes from denser to rarer, but there is no change in the direction. Case number 2 is when the angle of, okay, right now the light ray is not falling. Let's say here the light ray, it's not falling normally, it's going slanting. You can say it is not falling normally on the surface, but it is yet possible that there is no refraction taking place now also. So how or when is it possible that there will be no refraction even when the light is passing obliquely? So this is possible when the medium, okay, it is possible only when, you know what, when both the mediums have got the same optical density. What do you mean by same optical density? So the mediums are different, but the densities are the same. So if they have got the same optical density, then there will be no change in the speed. If there is no change in the speed, there will be no refraction. So it is necessary there has to be a change in the speed, that only there will be a refraction taking place, except in the first case. Okay. So if they ask you what are the two conditions for no refraction, these are the two conditions when refraction does not take place. Okay, now next thing. Now if they ask you what is the cause of refraction, so we have to say that whenever light will pass from one medium to another medium, if there is a change in the speed due to the change in medium, then light will also change its path. Okay, now guys, next thing again very important is the laws of refraction. Okay, so we have learned earlier, you have learned laws of reflection, correct, in the 9th standard. But here what we are doing is called as what? Laws of refraction. Now what are laws of refraction? So the first law states that the incident ray, the refracted ray, and the normal at the point of incidence, they all lie in the same plane. Okay, they all lie in the same plane. Like for example, let's say when you're looking at this screen, okay, that screen is what? Your plane. So now this incident ray, the normal, they both are on the same plane, both are lying on the screen. Now this refracted ray, what we are talking about, okay, here, refracted ray. So even the refracted ray have to be on the same plane, meaning it cannot come out of this plane. So you cannot have a three-dimensional figure or a 3D figure. How when you go for a 3D movie, it looks all at a different depth. So here it's everything is going to be on the same plane, on the same board. That is what the first law states. Okay, second thing, second law is again very important law, and in the second law it states that the ratio of sine of angle of incidence, okay, the ratio of sine of angle of incidence to the sine of angle of refraction, the sine of angle of incidence to the sine of angle of refraction is called as what? It's called as a refractive index, and it is given by the symbol mu. Okay, so mu or micron, that's a symbol for refractive index, or it is simply written as what? Ri also. Okay, so the ratio of the sine of angle of incidence to the sine of angle of refraction is a constant, and this ratio is called as what? Refractive index. Now refractive index has got no unit. I hope you all know why it has got no unit. Just like relative density, even this has got no unit because it's a ratio and hence it doesn't have a unit. Okay, now when I say refractive index, now one more very important thing, how we write this refractive index. Now if I write 1 mu 2, so 1 and 2 are the name for the mediums. So when I say 1 mu 2, it is read as what? Refractive index of the second medium with respect to the first medium. So once again, how will we read this? We will read this as what? Refractive index of second medium, refractive index of second medium with respect to first medium. That's how we read this. Okay, so these are the laws of refraction. Got it? And this Ri what I wrote or mu I wrote over here, it is called as what? Refractive index. Okay, so they can ask you to define this law also, and this is also called as what? It's also called as Snell's law. So if they ask you what are Snell's laws of refraction, then you must write down both the laws. If they ask you laws of refraction, then also you write both the laws only. Okay. Now, now next thing is about the speed. Okay, now let's say, so see, as we know, white light is made up of what? You already know it is made up of 7 colors, right? Those are what? Vibgyor. So white light is made up of 7 colors, that is Vibgyor. Now out of all these colors, red color is the color which has got what? Maximum wavelength. It has got what? Minimum frequency. Maximum wavelength, minimum frequency, and it has also got what? Maximum speed, remember. So everything is opposite over here, obviously. This will have what? minimum wavelength, maximum frequency, and it has got what? Minimum speed. So you need to know this by now. One more thing, all these colors, they travel at the same speed in air or in vacuum. Remember, they all travel with the same speed. Okay, that is in air, or you can say what? In vacuum. But in glass, red is the fastest color. Remember, red is the fastest color in glass. So it's just that only in air or in vacuum, all the colors of light, they travel at the same speed. Fine. Now so now next thing, guys, we'll discuss about there are some more factors which make a difference now. So what are the other factors now? That when the second factor is the frequency point. So the frequency of the light will remain constant even after refraction. So remember, during refraction, frequency remains constant, and rest all the properties may vary. Like you can say its intensity, its amplitude, its direction, speed, everything else can change, but only frequency is a property which will always remain constant. And what's the relation between the velocity and the frequency? So velocity is equal to frequency into wavelength. Okay, you've done this formula in the chapter sound already. So velocity is v, frequency is f, wavelength is lambda. Okay, and the same formula can also be written as c equal to f into lambda, because here we are going to talk about what? Only the speed of light. But if it is light, speed of light in air or in vacuum, then only we will write it as c. If it's the speed of light in any another medium, then we'll write it as what? V. Remember. So generally speaking, since frequency is constant, velocity is directly proportional to wavelength. So more the wavelength, more will be the velocity, and that's why red color is the fastest. Okay. Now next thing. So in all, we have done one definition of refractive index, that was sin I upon sin R. Now there is another definition, one more definition for refractive index. So in all, you have got only 4 definitions in refractive index. So we are on the second definition of refractive index right now. Now what's the second definition of refractive index? So it states, in second one, it states that the refractive index of a medium, or one sec, I'll not call it as refractive index, we'll call it as absolute refractive index. Okay, I'll tell you why it is called as absolute refractive index. So let's say absolute refractive index of glass, for example, will be written as what? It will be written as speed of light. Speed of light in air or in vacuum to the speed of light in glass. So we write C for air and we write V for glass, and this is what? Mu. So this is how we write it. Absolute refractive index of glass. Now what does the word absolute mean? Absolute means what? Whenever the comparison is always with air, then it is called as what? Absolute refractive index. So we wouldn't call it absolute refractive index if it was ratio of speed of light in water to the speed of light in glass. Not then. It has to be what? Compulsory what? Air only. Then only we call it as absolute. Second thing, whatever comes in the denominator, that is called as what? We are finding refractive index of that material. So this would be written as what? A mu G. Okay, and notice properly, see what it is written as, how we read it this. So it is read as refractive index of glass with respect to air. Okay, so it's called as what? Refractive index of glass with respect to air. That's called as absolute refractive index. Okay, Now, okay, now as next thing is, for example, I'll give you one example. For example, let's say if I want to find refractive index of glass. So what will we do? Speed of light in air to the speed of light in a medium. What's the speed of light in air? It will be how much? 3 into 10 raised to 8. What's the speed of light in glass? 2 into 10 raised to 8. So when you will divide it, you will get what? 1.5. That's your refractive index. Remember, there is no unit. Now, they may also ask you, what do you mean by refractive index of glass is 1.5? So see, first thing we need to know what? That mu is equal to C upon V, which means mu is inversely proportional to speed of light in glass. Or sorry, speed of light in a medium. So remember, as the speed of light in a medium will increase, it means refractive index is lesser for that material. Okay, so using this logic, tell me, I'll repeat once again, if the speed of light is faster, it's more, then its refractive index is lesser. So for example, in case over here, what can you say about violet? Will it have, since its speed is minimum, what can you say about its refractive index? Maximum. It will have a maximum refractive index, whereas this will has what? Minimum refractive index. Okay, next thing is about the okay, now about that question which I asked you, what do you mean by refractive index of glass is 1.5? Okay, so if they ask you what do you mean by refractive index of glass is 1.5, so what would this mean? See, we have learned that mu is equal to what? C upon V. So 1.5 is equal to C upon V. So what is C equal to? 1.5 into V. So what can you write then? Therefore, it means that speed of light in air is 1.5 times the speed of light in glass. Got it? You have to write that statement that the speed of light in air is 1.5 times the speed of light in glass. Okay. Again, this is very, very important question. Very commonly they ask you this question. Also, one more thing. So I'll just tell you refractive index of a few material which you should know by heart. It will help you. So the refractive index of those few material which you need to know are these ones only. So for air, it is 1 because it is absolute refractive index. For water, it will come to 1.33. For glass, it's 1.50. And for diamond, it's 2.41. Okay. So these are the only 4 standard material whose speed, velocity and all you need to by heart. Rest all is okay. One more question they can also ask you is about those conditions which I already told you when there is no refraction. Okay, again that is also a very commonly asked question. Okay, next thing is when we did about this absolute refractive index, okay, when we discussed about this here, okay, one more thing to note over here is that tell me what could be the minimum value of an absolute refractive index. So the minimum possible value of absolute refractive index is what, 1. If you are wondering how, so see, if I do speed of light in air divide by speed of light in air, what will be your answer? 1. And if I find refractive index of any material other than air, okay, it will be always less than 1. Why will be the refractive index always either equal to 1 or less than 1? That is because light cannot travel faster than 3 into 10 raised to 8 in any of the medium. Remember, in whatever medium the light will travel, it cannot be faster than its speed in air or in glass. And that's why the refractive index will be less than 1. Okay, this is very, very important. They can ask you for give reason. Along with give reason will be for 2 marks, and otherwise they'll ask you for 1 mark. Okay. Now guys, we are learning about the factors. Now, this is again another challenging thing, that there are factors for so many things in this chapter. Right now we have just started with what? With the refractive index. What are the factors which can affect refractive index? So the first factor is the nature of the medium. So we obviously already know the nature of the medium. It depends upon the optical density basically. Okay, it will depend upon the optical density of the medium. Like air will have a different refractive index, glass will have different, because light will travel at different speed in different mediums. Number two, it also depends upon the physical condition. What do you mean by physical condition? For example, temperature. Now see how temperature affects. So let's say if there is an increase in the temperature, if the temperature will increase, density of a medium will decrease. If the density will decrease, then the speed of the medium in that, speed of light in that medium will increase. But if the speed will increase, then the refractive index will decrease. As we already discussed, they are inversely proportional. Okay. And number three, the last factor is the color of the light or the wavelength. So we'll first discuss about the color, so then wavelength will also become easier for you. Now see which color is the slowest. Violet color is the slowest. As I told you already, if the color is traveling slower, its refractive index is what? More. So it will have maximum refractive index. Violet has got more or less wavelength. It has got less wavelength. So we write what? Minimum wavelength. So refractive index is inversely proportional to the wavelength. So more the wavelength, less is the refractive index. Okay. Now guys, next slide. Here. Now out here now we are discussing about the another concept which is called as principle of reversibility. Okay, what is it called as? Principle of reversibility. Now what do you mean by principle of reversibility? So this is the simplest definition, easiest definition in your whole textbook. What is the principle of reversibility? States. So what we can do is keep a, let's say you have a light ray coming from here. Okay, it's going from, say, from water to air, and then when it is going from denser to rarer, it will bend away from the normal. So this was your, say, angle of incidence, and this was your angle of refraction. Clear? What is principle of reversibility states now? So you see the path which the light is traveling right now. Okay, you notice the path which the light has traveled. So light has traveled this path from here, like this, right? And then bent. So the principle of reversibility states that if you would have allowed light to pass through the same path, okay, which was by refracted ray, then you will find it will again follow back this path only, this light ray only. Is it clear? So the incident ray, okay, and the refracted ray, whatever is the path followed by them, it will get interchanged while coming back. So while coming back, if this was your incident ray here, okay, if this was your incident ray, then this would have been your refracted ray. Meaning your angle of incidence and angle of refraction would get interchanged. So I'll repeat once again. See, when the light ray is going from A to B, so when the light is traveling from A to B out here, that time, okay, your angle of incidence is what? I, and your angle of refraction is what? R. Correct? So what would be your refractive index while the light is traveling from A to B? Your refractive index will be what? Sine I upon sine R. Okay, but if it is going from B to A, then sine R, it will be upon sine I. So see, both of them are the formulas for refractive index, but you can see the formula I have reversed. Why? Because actually while coming back, your this R will be your angle of incidence, and your this I will be your angle of refraction. So I have just interchanged those values here. Okay, so now this is called as path of principle of reversibility of path of light. What does this also mean other way? Like say we had a source of light from the point A, which started from point A. What I'll do at the point B now, I will place a mirror over here. So the light ray will start from the point A, it will go strike the mirror and then reflect back. So you can see it is falling normally, so it will also come back through the same path. Okay, got it? So light will start from the point A and it will again come back and meet at the same point A only because of the principle of reversibility. Henceforth, again we will call it as POR. P-O-R, POR. Okay, that is principle of reversibility. So we had last time we had POM, that was principle of moments. Now this is POR, so principle of reversibility. Now listen to this definition, now the textbook definition. It's really simple. According to this principle, the path of light ray is reversible, meaning the path which it follows to go, it will also come back by the same path. That is called as principle of reversibility. Okay, guys, now next thing is about the lateral displacement. Okay, so now one more thing over here to discuss is the same thing. I'll just put in the form of equations now. So the refractive index of 1 mu 2 will be equal to what? 1 upon 2 mu 1, which basically means what? That if it is A mu G, it will be 1 upon G mu A. Okay, so if I find refractive, you can see in the example which I've shown over here, look at this. Okay, look at this one. The refractive index here is sin A upon sin A, and here it is what? Reciprocal of it. So since they are reciprocal, you can apply this logic, right? That 1 mu 2 is equal to 1 upon 2 mu 1. Now the next what we are doing is a refractive. How will the refraction take place in a glass slab? So now we are learning about refraction through a rectangular glass slab. So in your portion you've got only rectangular, though for application they may give you a parallelogram or something, but it would not matter. Okay, again this one you've done in the 8th standard, I guess. Guys, see now, we'll draw the rectangular glass slab first. So say, okay, I'll just try to draw one. Okay, so that's a rectangular glass slab. Now guys, out here, let's say that the light ray is starting from here. Incident ray. This is a rectangular glass slab, so this is your incident ray. So that's your incident ray, and then out here we have a normal. Now when the light ray is going from rarer to denser, right? Guys, look here, what are the mediums we have? Air, glass, air. So when it's going from air to glass, that is from rarer to denser, how will the light ray go? Towards the normal. So this light ray, it should have ideally gone how? Like this, right? In a straight line. But you will find what? That there will be a bend in the light. It will go, one sec. Let's draw it properly. It will go from here, it will go rarer to denser. So it's going to go this way. Okay. Now again we'll have to draw normal. So you can notice out there, how did the ray of light go? It went from rarer to denser, so towards normal. Now again when it's going from denser to rarer, how will it go? Again away from the normal. Okay. So this is how it will travel. Now one very important thing to note out here is that if you extend this light further, okay, if you extend this line, the incident ray further, what will you find? It will come or turn out to be what? Parallel to the refracted ray. So that's your incident ray. Okay, this is your incident ray, that's your refracted ray, and that's called as your emergent ray. Okay, so this is a new term now that you're learning. It's called as what? Emergent ray. Now why did they name it as emergent ray? Because it is emerging out of the glass slab, so they named it as emergent ray. Okay, now this distance, okay, now this perpendicular distance between the two rays, see out here, this perpendicular distance is called as what? Lateral displacement. Okay, it is called as what? Lateral displacement. It is called as lateral displacement. So that's the incident ray, refracted ray, and the emergent ray. This is called as what? Your normal 1, that's your normal 2. I'll mark these angles now. Angle I, this is angle R, this is angle R, and this is the angle of emergence E. Okay, so now out here, tell me why is R1 equal to R2? Okay, apply and tell me why is I1 equal to I2? So R1 is equal to R2 because if you realize, check properly that these two angles are basically alternate angles. Since the normals are parallel, this will form what? Alternate angles. Why is I equal to E? Why is I equal to E? Okay, this is because of principle of reversibility, and this is a little difficult to understand. So why is I equal to E? The reason being what? Angle, you see, R1 and R2 are equal, correct? So if you apply principle of reversibility, since R1 and R2 is equal, right? So light ray is going from what? Denser to, when the light is going from R1, see here, I'll show you the marking. This is your R1, correct? So say it was coming from I and then it was going to R1, right? That is going from air to glass. Here the light ray was going what? From glass to air, correct? But even if it is going from, if you look at it reverse way, like, you know, if it was starting with this angle E, then what would be your angle of refraction? R2. Got it? So see if you understood or not. If not, then we'll do it in the live class, so don't worry about it. So I is equal to E, that's because of what? Principle of reversibility. And another very important thing to note out here, that remember these two surfaces were parallel, and only when these two surfaces are parallel, only then these two light rays are parallel. That is the extended incident ray and the emergent ray. Got it? So the medium we had out here is air, the medium we have out here is what? Glass, and out here again it is what? Air. So it's air, glass, air. Okay. So yeah, there is one more part in this chapter, okay, that is the multiple images, that I'm going to do in the next video. So first you'll understand these concepts well, and then we'll do that. Just one last thing we'll do is about the factors now. So what are the factors which can affect the LD? LD means what? Lateral displacement. So what are the factors now which affect the lateral displacement? So if you remember these factors, you can remember as RAT, R-A-T, or TAR, or ART. Any of these words you can remember. It'll help you in remembering the factors. So the first factor, your lateral displacement, it depends upon the thickness of the glass slab. It depends upon the thickness of the glass slab, directly proportional. More the thickness, it will lead to more lateral displacement. Second one is the angle of incidence. Angle of incidence. How does that affect now? So in angle of incidence, more the angle of incidence, more will be the lateral displacement. Okay, number 3 is the refractive index. Okay, it is also what? Refractive index. So more the refractive index, more will be the lateral displacement. Okay, so you can remember now why I wrote as TAR. That's because of thickness, angle, and refractive index. Okay, those are the factors. Or in fact, if you want, you can also remember all these as what, you know, DART. Okay, another way, simpler way to remember. D for directly, ART for those factors. Okay, and all of them are what? They all are directly proportional. So which color will have more refractive index? Sorry, which color will have more lateral displacement? It will be the violet color, and least will be red color. Okay, so we'll stop here.